Hi and welcome back to Dusty Book Sniffers. I'm Nicole and today we are here for my Read Around the World challenge. Well, good morning or good evening everybody and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of the day and spending it with me while I prattle on about the books that I have read. So today's book that I've read for Read Around the World challenge is the Andorra book and it is called Wildcard and it is by Marganet Assumpta. And this book was not a great book for me. Now I use this term very loosely. It is supposed to be a mystery thriller, crime sort of. Well, it is crime. It definitely falls into that genre. As far as thriller and mystery goes, not so much. Okay, so I'm going to start this a little bit different and we're going to talk about the author because I could not find anything on this author. I found a picture and you can see that here. And basically that's what she looks like. It's the only book that I'm aware of that she has published. I cannot find anything else. It was translated by Sheila McIntosh from Catalan into English. And this book is based in Andorra. And Andorra is a tiny little kingdom between France and Spain. Now, I believe that the other information that I found, and from what I can tell, the author actually lives in Spain. This book is based in Andorra. Okay, so that was the only thing that I was able to match Andorra for. And if this book was so hard to get a hold of, this book I ended up getting through Amazon, and it actually came from a university in Stanford. Yeah, from the women's department. And whenever you search this book up, it actually comes up under a lot of women's literature groups, websites, and all that sort of stuff. Now, as I said, I could not find anything about the author, so I'm sorry. I don't know anything about her or her life or where she is residing at the moment or anything like that. And I done a wiki search. There was a page that come up for this name and it was in Spanish. I believe it was Spanish, but I couldn't read it and it didn't have a translate with it. So I don't know if that was her. There was no picture there, so I couldn't verify whether that was her wiki page or not. But anyway, let's talk about the book. The book is actually following the story of Rossi, and she works in Andorra. She is a supermarket clerk, and basically she just does things at the supermarket and whatnot. Her boss is a sleazebag and is trying to hit on her and stuff like that. But over the course of time of her working there, she notices that he is doing something that looks a little bit untoward and she's not quite sure. So that's about the mystery of it. And she finally works out, and pretty early on in the piece, that he is actually embezzling money from his business so he doesn't have to pay tax or anything on it. And she then thinks to herself, I could get hold of that money. So she hatches a plan with her sister to rob him of this money because he won't be able to report it missing or anything like that. And so she makes a plan to rob him of his money, and they're going to run it through a bank so they can get it into Spain because that's where she's from. So along the way, she meets some people and all that sort of stuff, makes some friends and some alliances, and then there's little sub things that are happening, and she meets someone who is getting bashed by her boyfriend, and she makes friends with her and then helps her get revenge, and then there's all this stuff that happens that really were just fillers. They were just fluff. This only has 176 pages in it, so it's sort of like a novella. I read it in the physical form, and unfortunately, I didn't really like that much about this. Like, it was an okay story. It did keep me somewhat intrigued to find out whether she was going to get away with it or not, because at one stage there it sort of looked like that she was, and then she wasn't, and then she was again, then she wasn't. And like, I think the author was trying to maybe portray that she was having second thoughts about what she wanted to do. There was a couple of bits in there that, like, where she was making friends with people, but they were filler. They didn't add anything to the story. They didn't yeah, they just didn't do anything for the story. Now, there are parts of it in there, like where she's describing what Andorra is like, and it is very touristy. It is a tax-free haven, as like for a lot of people as well. Like they get tax-free goods there, from Spain. Like people that come in from France and Spain, they can shop there and get it, and it's tax-free. So that is what the attraction is. And she sort of highlights in the book about, like in the beginning of the book, about working in a tourist environment and how defeating it can be and how depressing it can be. And I sort of related to that because many years ago I lived on the Gold Coast. I've lived here for almost 18 years now, in Kingaroy, or in the surrounding areas of Kingaroy. But many moons ago I actually worked at the casino on the Gold Coast at Jupiter's, and there is nothing more depressing than being at work and cleaning up after other people and looking out the window and all you can see is the wide blue ocean and the beautiful beaches of the Gold Coast. And in summer, just even in winter, longing to be there. The only saving grace for me was where I lived. I lived on Mermaid Avenue, at Mermaid Beach there, and it was right on the beach, and the property that I was living at was a block of units that was literally 10 steps to sand from my door, maybe a bit more, maybe 20 steps. Maybe I was over exaggerating there a little bit, but basically when an east coast swell came in, I could look out my bedroom window and it looked like waves were coming to my unit, and so I was on the side, so I didn't have a direct view, but when I walked out my door I could see the ocean. I could hear the ocean at night, the waves crashing on the beach. So that was the only saving grace. But I do understand the complexities of living and also working in a tourist environment. And so, yeah, and how defeating and depressing it actually can be. So that was the best part of the book, in my opinion. Like, she really described that really well. It is still worth a read because it is from, obviously, an author that's only written this one book that I can find. It was published back in 1995, so it is quite an old book. And it was published by Women in Translation. So it was around the time that there was a lot of women that were starting to get published, and a lot from different countries from around the world. So I'm really glad that I have read this. I do like the cover. The cover looks quite fun. Wildcard is actually a game that they play, but they don't actually play it very much in the I think Wildcard from memory is the game is like Rummy. It's similar to that, or Euchre. Similar to those games. So if you know your card games, it's similar to that. So basically it is referred to a couple of times in the book, but only about her going, oh, do you want me to give you a wild card or something like that? So yeah. But other than that, I only gave it a 2.5 star read. I did rate it 3 stars on Goodreads, and I think I am the only person that's read this book on Goodreads. Or maybe one other person. I think there's only 2 ratings, mine and someone else's on that. But I am glad that I read the book, because now I know what I don't like. And, you know, I purchased the book and I've got it now, and, you know, Savannah might read it and get a lot out of it. As I said, I wouldn't call it a mystery thriller, maybe a little bit in there. I've got some things that I've highlighted, and things in there that just resonated with me that probably wouldn't make sense to anybody else. But other than that, apart from the references to the living in and working in a tourist town, that's really all I got from that, and I enjoyed that part of it because she did describe that really, really well on that. But that is Wildcard by Margaret Assumpta. Sorry, I don't have any other information about the author, but yeah, if you get a chance to read it, give it a read. I don't believe it's on Kindle either. I couldn't find it on Kindle, because otherwise I would have just got it on Kindle. But that is it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me again for my Read Around the World series. I am finally catching up, and now I can go in alphabetical order. I've got a couple more that I've got coming up in the next month or so. And I did talk about this for the Australian prompt. I'm actually going to read 3 or 4 books for that. There's a couple that I want to actually read, and there's one that I want to reread again from an Australian author, so keep an eye out for that. But that is it from me today. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget, if you are new here or you're a returning viewer and you've yet to subscribe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you're not going to miss out on any future posts. And as always, leave me a comment down below with an emoji if you've made it this far, with let me see, put a card emoji down there, playing card, or one of the suits, queen, like a heart or a spade or something like that, in the comments down below, and I